I never thought I'd come back from the morgue and feel like my mind was fraying at the edges. Hi, I'm Brooklyn Carter. I'm an ER nurse at St. Jude's Hospital, smack in the middle of the city's heartbeat. I've worked nights for almost 5 years, seen my share of chaos, trauma, and death, but nothing like this. Nothing that made me want to question everything I believe about life, death, and what comes after. Last night was colder than usual. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones, makes every breath sharp. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, flickering just enough to cast weird shadows down the hallways. I was on my usual rounds, clipboard in hand, eyes tired but sharp. Trust me, if you can't trust your gut in the ER, you're done for. That's when I heard it. At first, just a faint sound, like a soft thud, quick and dull. But this noise? It was out of place. My heart hammered as I moved toward the door, hands trembling against the metal handle. I opened it. Freezer air hit me like a punch. Then I saw them. The bodies, people who should be still, were different. Their positions had changed. Hands that were once resting calmly by their sides were now crossed over their chests. Heads subtly turned as if they were looking right at me. Even their eyelids, half open, defying the quiet stillness death demands. I stood frozen. A lump caught in my throat. My chest tightened. It felt impossible. I mean, how? Who moved them? No one was supposed to be here. I checked the security footage with shaking hands. The freezer door had stayed locked tight all night. Nobody came in, nobody left. A cold shiver rolled down my spine. Then it hit me. I looked closer at the records on the bodies. Every single one had died under strange symptoms. Initially misdiagnosed, their deaths mysterious and sudden. It was like they were trying to warn me, trying to tell the living that something dangerous lurked inside this hospital. I kept staring at those bodies, their frozen, impossible gestures pulling at something deep inside me. Was this real? Or had I lost touch with my senses? Maybe it was stress, exhaustion. But no, that thudding sound had been real. I felt watched. I felt hunted. Since then, everything's different. I drive through endless nights haunted by whispering doubts and cold fear. The hospital halls seem darker, roads lonelier. And this is just the start. Before all this, I was Brooklyn Carter, the nurse who'd seen too much but kept going. I had my routines, my people, my small world stitched tight enough to hold me together through the worst nights. I'm not just some face in scrubs. I knew this hospital like the back of my hand, which means I knew the people in it too. People who mattered. People I trusted. Take Marcus. He's been my rock since the first day I clocked in here 5 years ago. Tall, all steady, always tired looking, but with this stubborn smile that made you believe tough times were just moments you'd outlast. Marcus was my charge nurse. That's the guy in the ER who keeps the chaos from tipping over. During the madness, he'd crack jokes. Really bad, groan-worthy jokes. But I swear, those jokes saved my sanity more nights than I can count. Once when we worked a 12-hour shift straight after a wreck that dumped half a dozen patients in code blue, he handed me a cup of lukewarm coffee and just said, "Hang tight, Brooklyn. We're in this mess together." That was the kind of guy he was. Steady light in a blackout. Then there's my sister, Ellie. Not staff. She's a social worker, lives across town, but everyone in my life knows Ellie's the soft place I fall. She's the one who pushes me out of my dark spiral. The one who reminds me there's more than work, blood, and chaos. When my mother died last year, Ellie was at my small apartment with a pizza box and tears in her eyes, telling me we'll get through this, one mess at a time. She's family, but also my best friend. We hold on to each other because this city isn't kind. And I can't forget Dr. Sylvia Patel. She's one of the ER doctors, a no-nonsense kind of woman with wild, curly hair and these intense brown eyes that see everything and judge nothing. She's the O. Once, after a brutal night with a near-fatal overdose, she caught me staring at a patient's chart and said quietly, "You're better than scared, Brooklyn. You're scared for them." That line stuck. But before all this, none of us could have imagined what was coming. The weeks leading up to last night were weird in ways I didn't notice until now. Little things, Marcus showing up late, more tired than usual, and brushing off questions. Ellie calling less, sounding distracted when she did. And Sylvia, she was quieter, more serious. Once, after a hectic shift, I caught her staring at one of the morgue records, barely blinking. When I asked what was wrong, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Nothing," she said fast. Too fast. At the time, I told myself it was just stress, the usual hospital grind. But looking back, it was like a storm gathering under the calm. Something had been creeping in, twisting the edges of everything we thought was safe. And me? I was caught smack in the middle, eyes wide shut. It hurts because the people I trust, the ones I depend on, they're part of this mess now. There were signs, tiny cracks I missed, like when Marcus skipped his morning coffee ritual for days straight, or Ellie pushing back Skype calls, saying she was too busy to talk. Even Sylvia, who usually kept her secrets close, had moments when she looked afraid but wouldn't say why. It's like we all knew something was coming, but none of us were ready. Now, I can't stop thinking about it. What if one of them, one of my people, was changing before my eyes? What if the freezer noise, those impossible movements, were warnings not just for me, but for all of us? It makes my chest tighten just saying it. My hands shake. I'm scared, sure. But more than that, I feel trapped, like the people I care for most are slipping away into something I don't understand, and I don't know if I can save them. Not yet, and that's what keeps me moving forward, even as the darkness creeps closer. I never wanted to believe it. Not Marcus. Not the guy who'd been my anchor through every nightmare shift. Every mess we cleaned up with tired hands and too little sleep. But when I found the file, there was no other way around it. It all started yesterday when I decided to dig deeper. That nagging feeling wouldn't quit. The freezer, those bodies, the strange deaths, and Marcus acting so off lately. Late to work, dodging questions, staring into nothing. He wasn't himself, or maybe he never was. I snuck into the nurse's station after my shift, heart pounding so loud I thought it might burst. The place was quiet, almost too quiet. The glow from the computer screens flickered low. Marcus had logged in, but somehow I found a folder he'd hidden away, buried under patient charts. That's when I saw the files with his name on them. Not like the usual personnel stuff. No, this was something else. Documents, photos, notes, All of them didn't match who I thought he was. There was a social security number that didn't exist. A medical license with a different name. A photo of him in hospital scrubs, yes, but from a completely different hospital, dated years before he said he started here. More than that, emails, thousands of them, talking about someone called Project Hollow. People coming and going, strange experiments, deaths that never made it to the reports I see on my clipboard. I felt my hands freeze over the mouse, sweat sliding down my neck. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was some kind of elaborate joke, but no. There were pictures of Marcus, but they looked off, photoshopped in a way that made him look older, sharper. And there was a recording. His voice, yes, but the words weren't ones I would expect. "Keep the cover," the voice said, steady, but colder than the Marcus I know. "They can't know who I really am." I blinked, and everything spun. I had to sit down. My chest squeezed tight. The room felt smaller, darker. My breath caught. Thoughts racing so fast they hurt. Had Marcus lied to me all this time? Every joke, every coffee he handed me, the steady hand on my shoulder, it was all a mask? I ran through every conversation, every memory. Was that Marcus? Or someone else pretending? The worst part? Ellie called just after I discovered everything. But when I told her I needed to find Marcus, she froze. Her voice cracked. "Brooklyn, you don't want to go looking for him. Not now. It's not safe." Before I can say more, the line went dead. No callback, no messages. I went back to the hospital. Tried the usual nurse's station. Marcus was gone. No one had seen him since last night. The charge nurse's office was locked tight. Checking the security cameras wasn't helpful. Some of the footage was missing, like it never existed. My fingers shook so badly I could barely grip my phone. I should call someone, the cops maybe. But what do I say? My best friend's been hiding a secret identity? Sounded crazy, even in my own ears. Then came the whispers. Quiet talk around the hospital halls. The kind you catch but don't want to hear. "Marcus? You mean the guy who's been here less than a year?" "No, I heard he wasn't even on the books at St. Jude's." "Some say he's involved in things worse than cover-ups." I wanted to scream, to shout they were wrong. But my gut, it screamed the opposite. I'm haunted by his steady smile, the one that made you think everything would be okay. A lie. I'm trapped between shock and fear. Betrayal cuts deeper than anything I've seen in the ER. I keep looking for him, for answers. But maybe Marcus was never really here. Maybe I only imagined my friend. Right now, I'm staring at my phone, heart pounding, waiting for a text, a call, anything. But it's like he disappeared into thin air. And me? I don't know what's worse, the lie or the silence. I'm starting to think my whole life was a lie. Not just Marcus. Everything. Yesterday, when I stumbled on those files, something cracked deep inside me. The truth wasn't just about one guy hiding in the shadows. It's darker, bigger. Like I've been living inside some twisted story someone else wrote, and I never saw the pages. I got home after hours of pacing my apartment, trying to make sense of it all. But the place felt off, like the walls were closing in. My keys felt slippery in my palms, like they didn't belong to me. I checked the pictures on my phone. Selfies, birthday dinners, blurry shots of my sister, Ellie. But even those had strange things in the background. Shadows that didn't move right. Faces half hidden. I called Ellie twice. No answer. Then a text. Just one word. Stop. My fingers froze on the screen. Who sends that? Ellie? Or someone pretending to be her? I remembered how her voice sounded when she hung up on me earlier. Fragile, scared, like she was breaking. But why warn me? And how? Then I looked through my house, room by room. Nothing felt familiar. My favorite mug was cracked in a way I don't remember. The fridge was stocked with food I never bought. My calendar was full of stamps and scribbles in handwriting that wasn't mine. Phone calls from numbers I don't know. Reminders about appointments I don't recall setting. I started trembling. My heart hit my ribs so hard it was like a drum in a war zone. I tried to sit down, but the floor seemed to tilt. My vision blurred. I snapped it back with a gulp. I could still hear the buzz in my ears, like electricity leaking. I realized I hadn't slept properly in days. More like hours. Broken, shallow sleep packed with nightmares I can't even remember. The hospital, the place I thought was my anchor, now feels like a trap. I tried going back today to find answers, but the security guards acted like they didn't know me. One even asked if I worked there. Miss, this is a restricted area. Inside, the familiar buzz of machines was replaced by low murmurs behind closed doors. Nurses I'd worked side by side with looked through me like I was a ghost. Ellie's number popped up again on my phone. I called. This time, someone else answered. A voice, low and cold, told me to drop it. You're digging too deep, Brooklyn. Shadows slid past the windows, and I swear, I caught a glimpse of Marcus in one. His face, but empty eyes, staring. Was it real? Or my mind cracking under the weight of this madness? I wanted to scream, but felt my throat tighten so much I could barely breathe. Then there's Dr. Patel. I thought she was my ally, but today she looked at me with something unreadable. Was it pity or warning? Her usual sharp edges dulled into silence. When I pressed her, she said only, "You need to be careful. Not everyone here is what they seem, especially the ones you're closest to." Closest to me? Like Marcus, like Ellie. I'm remembering moments differently now. Small things that didn't make sense before. The way Marcus never let me see his badge up close. How Ellie once said she was busy, but never said what with. How Sylvia's glances drifted away when I brought up Project Hollow. They were all so quiet. Too quiet. The panic hit again. My hands shook. I dropped my phone. The screen cracked like glass shattering inside me. My breathing became shallow, sharp bubbles rising in my chest. I had to sit down. My head pounded. Each heartbeat was a hammer smashing my ribs. I hate not knowing what's true. And I hate even more that this place I called home, these people I trusted, they might be the danger. I'm losing track of time now. Days and nights melt together. The line between waking and dreaming blurs until I'm not sure if I'm awake at all. I jump at every whisper, every footstep. Lights flicker. My phone buzzes, but when I look, it's empty. No messages, just silence. I'm scared. Not just in my head, but down to my bones, like something's hunting me, waiting for me to slip. My body feels like it's made of glass, ready to shatter. I don't know who to trust anymore, or if I can trust myself. And if Marcus really never existed, if all those years, all those memories were just shadows, then maybe I'm next. Maybe this nightmare isn't over. The cold is coming back. I can feel it curling around my spine like a hand. And it's only getting tighter. Last night, it broke everything I thought I knew. I was back at the hospital, just trying to make sense of the silence. The halls were empty, the flickering overhead lights buzzing low, the air colder than ice in a freezer. I wanted answers, needed them. Then I heard it again. That thudding, soft and irregular, like a heartbeat just outside the glass door of the morgue. I pushed the door open slowly. The air hit me, sharp enough to cut. And there he was, Marcus. But it wasn't really Marcus. His eyes glowed faint blue, not like normal eyes. No, like something frozen in a light that wasn't there before. His smile stretched too wide, edges cracking like broken glass. I could feel the air pulse, bend, twist. Around him, the world warped. The walls stretched and leaned just for a second, like a cracked mirror. I swallowed hard. My chest slammed tight. My hands trembled so much I could barely steady my breath. And then the impossible happened. Marcus blinked, and suddenly his body shimmered like a heat wave, flickering between who he was and something else. Something wrong. A shadow beneath the skin. His voice echoed in my head, low and hollow. You should have stopped looking. I stumbled back, heart pounding so loud my ears bled. The temperature dropped again, breath freezing midair. Time stretched and snapped. Clocks on the walls spun backwards, then wildly forward. I saw flashes in every direction, faces of patients, doctors I barely recognized, flickering like static on an old TV. But it never was. A nurse grabbed my arm, shaking. I saw it too. That thing, he's been here, but not here. Not real. The hallway walls rippled. The fluorescent lights warped into wavy lines, bending like waves on a pond. The floor beneath us shifted, like a room in a house sinking into the ground. Marcus, or that creature, stepped forward. And with every step, the hospital seemed to fracture deeper. Hallways melted into shadows, bright lights flickered into darkness. The faces of the deceased from the morgue, faint pale ghosts, appeared around us, transparent and whispering, but never quite audible. Then, direct into my mind, came his voice, clear, cold, impossible. I was never who you thought. I don't die. I stay here, watching, waiting, feeding off fear. That's when the walls shattered, not with noise, but with silence, the air gone thick like molasses. Time fractured again. Dr. Patel screamed. It was a dry, ragged sound like something cracked inside her. Others backed away, eyes wide, stumbling down the hall like they'd seen a nightmare materialize. And Marcus, or its true form, turned to me. His smile vanished. Face blurred, blending flesh and shadow, wearing every death he'd ever seen like a mask. The hospital around us was no longer a place of healing, but a cage, a trap. Everything I'd believed about life, death, Even reality itself tore apart in that moment. The cold wasn't just cold anymore. It was a presence, a living thing crawling inside my bones, hugging tight like a noose. I fell to my knees. My chest heaved. My vision tunneled to that glowing blue stare, unblinking, endless. I know now. Marcus wasn't just lying to me. He was something else. Something older. Something that never belonged in the world of the living. I heard voices whispering all around. Ghosts, memories, warnings. Not just in my head, around the others too. Eyes darted, hands trembled. This wasn't fear. They were scared of truth. I touched my face, my hands, and for a terrifying second, I wasn't sure if I was steady or fading. And here's what I can't shake. Nothing makes sense anymore. Not time, not life, not even death. Because whatever I'm dealing with, it's not human. And it's only just begun. It hit me like a punch to the gut. Not because I wanted it, but because it was the only thing that made sense anymore. I wasn't who I thought I was. Hell, I wasn't even alive. I found it buried in the deepest corner of the files, locked, encrypted, hidden under layers of false names and false dates. My real name wasn't Brooklyn Carter. It was something else. A string of numbers tied to a file that called me Subject X217. The pictures? Not a smiling nurse. It was a pale, thin woman hooked up to machines. Tubes everywhere. Eyes empty. Dead eyes staring into nothing. The truth smashed inside my chest, broke like glass under weight. I died. Years ago. Maybe 5, maybe 10. Somewhere in the haze I passed out of this world, out of the life I thought was mine. And everything since, the hospital, the people, my sister, Marcus, even me, it was all a carefully crafted illusion. A simulation. Or an experiment. They called it Project Hollow, a twisted game to see how far they could push someone lost in the dark. They used my memories like a mask, stitched a false life over my empty shell. The names, the faces, they were actors. Or maybe fragments of real people mashed together in this fake world. Marcus? Not a friend. A guard. Ellie? A variable? Maybe a test to see if I'd crack. Sylvia? Someone they hoped would keep me from unraveling. My hands shook uncontrollably. My whole body ached like I'd been broken and put back together wrong. The walls? Not real walls. The hospital? Not real. The cold creeping down my spine wasn't just cold. It was the edge of a cage, closing in on a ghost that should have moved on. And part of me wanted to scream, wanted to rip everything apart and run. But run where? This fractured place was all I knew. Then the voice came, soft but cold and clear. Brooklyn, or what's left of you. I spun around. There, standing in the flickering light, was Marcus. No, the thing wearing Marcus's face. His eyes, those damn glowing eyes, held no warmth, only calculation. Only cruelty. I kept you safe, locked in this lie so the truth wouldn't destroy you. You weren't ready to remember. His voice was low, almost pitying. They tried to erase you, but you are stronger than any of us imagined. That's why you survived. Survived, like I was a broken thing on a shelf. Why? I choked out. Why lie? Why all this? He stepped closer, the hospital around us bending, shadows swallowing the edges. Because you're the key to everything, to life and death, to what's beyond. And they fear what you can wake, what you can break. I looked away. My breath hitched. I felt tears sting my eyes. Anger, fear, loss, all tangled up so tight I could barely breathe. If I'm not real, I whispered. If none of this is me, then why do I feel everything so damn deeply? Why do I remember Marcus, Ellie, Sylvia? Why does it hurt so much? His smile slipped. Because you made those memories. You reached for them. Your mind fights back. But that fight is killing you. The longer you stay, the weaker you get. You have to choose. What choice? My voice cracked, shaking on the edge of panic. To stay here in the lie and die slowly, as a ghost trapped in your own mind. Or wake up, go back, somewhere darker, somewhere real, but dangerous. Silence. The hum of the broken hospital filled the space between us. My heartbeat thundered loud in my ears. My hands trembled like leaves caught in a storm. I felt torn apart, half wanting to rip off the veil, half begging to stay blind forever. I don't want to lose this, I said, voice raw. But I can't live a lie. Marcus, no, the shadow wearing his face, tilted his head. Then you decide, Brooklyn. Truth or the comfort of darkness. The edges of the hospital seemed to dissolve. I could feel the cold tightening around me like a noose. Time slowed. The door ahead, a shimmer, an exit, maybe a promise of freedom or an abyss. I swallowed, trembling, heart breaking open, and stepped forward. Because sometimes the hardest thing isn't no magic button to press. I had to choose. And whatever I chose, everything I loved would shatter. The creature, Marcus's shadow, the thing wearing his skin, stood over me, calm and cold. You can escape. Just pick the reality you want to live in, it said, voice like ice. I blinked, heart slamming in my ribs. What do you mean? 2 paths, it whispered, like the words could slice through time. 1, abandon this lie, wake up to the truth. You save yourself. But the others? It smiled, cruel and sharp. They're lost in the dark forever, trapped, decaying inside the simulation. Ellie, Sylvia, they'll fade and forget you. My throat closed tight. I could feel the blood pounding in my ears. No, I couldn't leave them behind. Not like that. The other choice shook me more than anything. Stay. Lose yourself to the lie. Stay here. Keep the illusion alive. Protect Ellie. Keep her safe in her little bubble. Keep Sylvia, Marcus, whatever he was, locked in this looping nightmare. But me, my soul would shrivel. I'd be a ghost with no bones, no fire. Not real. Nothing left but a shadow pretending to care. I swallowed hard. My hands trembled so bad, the cold air felt like frostbite on my skin. I wanted to scream, beg something, but no sound came. My chest crushed under the weight of what was asked, what I owed. I thought of Ellie. Her laugh, soft like sunlight after rain. The way she held me when Mom died, like she was the only real thing in the world. To leave her to rot in this dead dream, it killed me. Sylvia's sharp eyes flashed in my memory. So steady, so fierce. She pushed me to fight, to hold on. What kind of fight was I left with if I took the easy road, if I stepped away? And Marcus, the lie, the truth behind his smile, Betrayal mixed with the only friendship I ever knew. Could I sentence him too? Or was he already gone? All at once, whispers buzzed in my ears. The other lost souls, trapped bodies from the morgue, flickering like blown-out candles, calling for release. Their voices cracked with pain, bitter and desperate. "Wake us! Save us!" they begged, so quietly it ripped my heart to pieces. But if I chose to leave, those pleas would never be heard again. They'd be buried in endless black. My mind spiraled, twisting into ice and fire. I saw the cold grit wrapping around my spine, tighter and tighter. The air grew thick, choking off any breath of hope. I wanted to hold on to everything: truth, love, the promise of real life. But the price was too brutal. I wiped my face, sweat mixed with tears. I can't," I gasped aloud. I won't leave them." The shadow's smile cracked into something crueler. "Fine," it said. "Then you lose yourself. Piece by piece, watch your memories fade as your mind shatters. You'll be safe, except in a prison of your own making." Below that threat, a cold thread of something else. Hope tightened in my gut. I didn't want to disappear. I didn't want to die in slow silence. But I had to choose, and I did. I stepped forward into the shimmer, fingers trembling as the walls bent and tore at the edges. "I choose to stay," I whispered. "For Ellie, for Sylvia, for whatever real is left." The air exploded inside me. A scream tore free from my chest but was swallowed by an unholy silence. My vision blurred. The hospital twisted, melting as the cold wrapped around my bones like chains. My heart lurched. I felt pieces inside me fracture. Memories, feelings, fractured shards sailing away into nothing. But I was still here, still fighting, for now. A voice echoed, distant but clear. "You chose darkness. Welcome home, Brooklyn." And just like that, the prison sealed shut. The air around me still felt heavy, the cold clutching at my bones like an old enemy. I couldn't tell exactly how much time had passed. Seconds? Hours? Days? Maybe all three rolled into one long nightmare. When I opened my eyes, the hospital was quieter. Too quiet. The usual hum of machines was there, soft, steady, but something was different. I was different. My hands shook. The tremble wasn't just from fear anymore. It was something deeper, colder, like the pulse under my skin had slowed. I touched my face, felt the faint sting of bruises I didn't remember getting. My eyes caught a flicker on the cracked phone screen lying on the floor beside me. A text, one word: home. But home wasn't the place I'd left. It was something twisted, broken. The hospital had shifted while I was gone. The people I'd trust most, Ellie, Sylvia, even Marcus, were still here. Well, some version of them. Ellie was waiting outside my apartment when I finally stepped out. Her face was pale, eyes hollow. She looked right through me, as if I was a ghost moving in her world. When I reached for her, she flinched, like I burned her with every touch. "I thought you were gone forever," she whispered. Then, almost bitter, "You chose this place over us." It crushed me. She was right. I had chosen the lie to save them, but it felt like a cage, and now she saw the bars clearly. Ellie wasn't the sister I remembered. Something had cracked between us. Her smile, a lifeline before, was gone, replaced by grief and loss I couldn't fix. Then Sylvia. Her silence was worse than words. When I met her eyes, there was pity, hard like stone. But she also looked scared, like she was holding something back, a secret too heavy to share. She told me once, "You're still here, Brooklyn. Somehow you're still fighting." But it wasn't the same fight anymore. The fire flickered, maybe too weak to light the dark ahead. Marcus, the man who saved me and betrayed me all at once, he was gone. His name still echoed in the empty halls, but the man I knew, if he ever existed, was buried under layers of lies. I could feel that shadow in the corner of every room, like a stain I couldn't wash away. Most days, but I'm still here. That's what matters. I gained something from the choice I made, a sliver of control, a chance to hold on to what's real enough to keep moving. I can see Ellie's anger, Sylvia's fading hope, and I know I have to fight, not just for me, but for them, for whatever second chance this broken place allows. The cost is brutal. Pieces of me have chipped away. Hearts I held tight have drifted or cracked. Some relationships slipped like sand through fingers, while others stand, trembling, fragile but fighting. At night, the cold still whispers. It curls beneath my skin, reminding me that every step forward costs more than I want to pay. My own breath sounds like a stranger's in the quiet. Yet this new world, fractured and strange, is where I live now. I'm learning to move in shadows, to listen to silences, to read the spaces between words my sister doesn't say, to trust that even broken memories can build something. I've lost a lot, too much to count, but I haven't lost everything, and maybe that's enough. Because sometimes surviving the nightmare means living with the scars it leaves, and someday turning them into strength that keeps the darkness just far enough away. I don't know what's next, but I'll face it. Because after all this, I'm still Brooklyn, or at least what's left of her. And that's the start of something. Months later, the cold still crawls my skin like a secret I can't shake. It's in the small moments, the flicker of a street lamp outside my window, the hum of a broken elevator, a shadow slipping just out of sight. I catch those things out the corner of my eye, and my breath stutters. My hands tremble like I'm still holding on to something vanishing. I try to live normal. Really, I do. But the world's edges keep fraying. Crowds feel too loud and empty. I walk the city streets, but every passing face feels like it sees through me or avoids my gaze. People I once called friends drift away. They say, "Brooklyn, you changed," like it's a bad thing. A few look at me like I'm carrying a sickness no medicine can touch. Ellie is one of the few who stayed, but even she's different. Our silences cut sharper than words now. Sometimes, when she thinks I'm not looking, Sylvia's disappeared from my life almost completely. I don't blame her. What we went through cracked things too wide. But I hear whispers from the shadows of others, nurses, doctors who knew us, who mention her name with a trace of fear. Like she's gone deeper into something darker, chasing answers I'm no longer brave enough to face. Still, I'm haunted by the memory of Marcus. Not just him, but what he was. Sometimes, when the city lights blur outside a rain-soaked window, thinks, one day I will mention nobody. I swear his smile flickers at the edge of my vision. Cold. I shut my eyes and see cracked hallways stretching into infinity, faces half-formed and eyes full of pleading. But something else has changed. I'm no longer just scared. I'm sharper now, wiser in the way only scars teach you to be. I distrust more, yes, but I trust me a little more, even if that's a fragile thing. I'm learning to walk the quiet spaces between reality and nightmare without losing myself completely. A few strangers have found me, people who've seen the impossible too. They carry their own shadows, mark their own scars. We share tales in hushed tones over coffee that tastes bitter but grounding. There's a strange comfort in those connections, proof that I'm not alone in this broken world, no matter how much the city tries to swallow us whole. Yet the shadows still pulse at the edges. Some days, when the sun dips and the cold thins the air, I catch glimpses of things no sane person should. An echo in a mirror that isn't my reflection. A whisper behind locked doors, that same deep chill crawling from my spine. It's like the story never really ended. The nightmare didn't close, it just changed shape. It waits, watching, feeding. And me? I'm still here, wounded but breathing, fighting, holding on to scraps of light in a world that keeps slipping under ice. Because surviving isn't about forgetting what scars you. It's about learning how to live with them. And maybe, just maybe, finding a way to keep the cold from freezing you completely. So yeah, the darkness is close. It's patient. It's hungry. But I'm still Brooklyn, still standing, still fighting. And I don't plan to give in. Not yet. It took me a long time to accept what I'm about to tell you. I kept pushing it away, convinced it was another crack in my mind, some trick of exhaustion or fear. But I can't lie to myself anymore. Not now. The cold, the shadows, the lies, none of it ended. It just changed forms. After I chose to stay, I thought I'd trapped the darkness inside the walls of that broken hospital, locked it away with the others. But the truth? It slipped past the cracks. It's loose. I found out the hard way. Last week, I was sitting in my apartment, trying to pretend normal, when my phone lit up again. No caller ID, no message, just a photo, a picture of me. But not from my phone. This one was taken from right outside my window. A pair of eyes glowing blue, watching. I froze. My throat closed up. The air in the room dropped 10 degrees in seconds. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. That smile, that damn smile from Marcus, or whatever that thing was, stretched across the dark. It wasn't just inside the hospital anymore. It followed me. It watches, waiting. I raced to check every lock, every window. Nothing, everything sealed tight. But I know they don't need doors. Not anymore. And that's when the message hit me right in the chest. You didn't escape. You just made room. Made room for what? For the truth I'm still digging at, but that keeps slipping deeper under my skin? For the cold that's no longer something you feel, but something that is, like a ghost breathing down your neck. Like the empty space beside you, filled with a presence you can't see, but no is there. I told you before, the hospital was never real. I was never real. But this creeping shadow stretching outside that cage, it's not just my nightmare. It's something alive, spreading in the quiet parts of the world no one wants to admit exist. I know I've been warning you the whole time, between the lines, in the cracks of what I never dared to say outright. But now I have to be clearer. This thing, this Project Hollow, or whatever mask it wears, it's everywhere. Quiet, patient, waiting. It hides in faces you might think you know, smiles that don't reach the eyes, voices that slip when you try to hold on to them, the chill that makes your skin prickle when you walk alone at night. Those moments when you think someone's following you, but the street is empty. It's not science. It's not madness. It's a dark truth sitting just beyond the edge of things we call normal. And here's the hardest part. It doesn't care if you see it. It doesn't need your fear. It feeds on silence, on the lies you tell yourself to keep moving forward. It waits until you think you're safe. So listen close. When you feel that cold creeping in your bones, when you hear a soft thud in the silence, or see something just out of sight, don't ignore it. Don't pretend it's in your head. It's real. And maybe, just maybe, it's already in your life. People disappear. Memories shift. Nights grow longer. Reality thins. I wish I had answers beyond warning you. But all I know is this. The nightmare doesn't end because you close your eyes or look away. It stays, it waits, and it finds the cracks. Because what happened to me, what I became, it can happen to anyone. To you, right now. So please, watch the places where the shadows linger. Trust the small voices that whisper danger. And don't ever let the cold feel like just a chill. Because sometimes the cold is something else, someone else, waiting. And if you think you're alone in this, think again. I'm still here, still fighting, still watching. And if you don't keep your eyes open, it will be watching you too.